You will be able to stay calm more easily if you have spent time anticipating possible questions. You should have done this during those preparatory conferences with your attorney before trial. However, you should still remain alert during questioning to figure out where any line of questions is leading. Remember always that you are the expert, and the attorney may at times misstate technical facts. This could be inadvertent because he is an attorney and not an expert in your specialty, but it could also be purposeful because he is trying to trap you into a quick agreement with a statement that is only partially true. Cross-examiners have an arsenal of well-known trap questions. Some questions that can challenge you begin with, "Isn't it true that?" and are generally challenging in one way or another. The question may end with a statement that is partially believable or true. The tone of voice may be calm or it may be sarcastic, and the question may be presented with a smile, a smirk, or a frown on the attorney's face. You should ignore the attorney's appearance. It doesn't affect the question, and sometimes it's only meant to unsettle you. Regarding your composure and comportment, just treat all questions alike. Stay calm in the face of any of these questions. Listen carefully to every word in the question. Then pause briefly before answering, and take longer to respond if the question demands extra thought on your part. A key tactic, then, is in general to take your time before you respond to particularly challenging questions. You should use the extra time to analyze each question, to form a careful response, and to assess where the question is leading. Out-of-context questions are a particular part of the arsenal of cross-examiners. As you know, your expert report lists the documents and information that you reviewed. Some of the material you reviewed contains content that may have found its way into your analyses and eventually into your opinions. Other content may have seemed inconsequential at the time, and you may have read that material more lightly. It will not matter in court whether you read it in depth or scanned it lightly. If your expert report says that you read it, then the opposing attorney can legitimately ask you any questions he likes about it. You still have to sound confident about your knowledge of all the material you reviewed. Of course, you may need to refresh your memory about a document or previous testimony that an attorney references in a question to you. This kind of question requires extra care. During trial questioning, attorneys will often ask if you have seen a particular document or report or deposition, and then they will proceed to ask you questions about it. The suggestion in court always seems to be that if you read something, then you remember every paragraph, every page, and every sentence in that document, and that you should somehow be able to comment on anything in that document. Jurors do not expect this, and you should not either. What often happens is that attorneys will quote something out of context from a document and ask you for your comment or opinion about it. A key tactic to take away from this particular discussion is that if you are asked a question about something in any document, after saying that you had seen that document previously, you should ask at that very moment to see the document again before you comment on it in the trial. Your purpose would be to comment properly on exactly what is written, and importantly, on the context within which the quotation has been written. This will probably take you several moments, while the attorney provides you with a copy of the document from which he is quoting. Ask for the specific page and location on the page that contains the quotation, and then take your time finding that place in the referenced document. Before saying that you have found the place with the quotation, casually look around that quotation, look at the context of the discussion that leads just before and follows just after the referenced quotation. If you read the document, then, just as you read the document once before, this quick scan of the context will probably be enough for you to identify the meaning in that context of the quotation. If possible, you should think through the reason for the question and why the quotation may have been given to you out of context. Look for contradictory, conflicting type information in the context. You have to understand how the attorney wants to use this out-of-context question to help his side of the case. If a quotation were straightforward, the opposing attorney could probably use his own expert to agree with it. If it can be interpreted in different ways, however, his attempt to use the quotation in an out-of-context way is an attempt to use you to help him. Generally, when you look at the context of such a question, you should look for conditions that were applied in the text around the quotation. Only if those conditions are true in this case would and might the quotation be valid. You must find or understand the constraints and then point out to the jury why they may be different from the facts in this case. This out-of-context trap can also occur when an attorney reads a passage from one of your own books or articles, or even a transcript from a previous deposition of yours. You should always ask to see the document or book from which any quotation is taken.